Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Granville D'Souza and I am a high impact coach. So what does a high impact coach mean? Well, I deal with clients who are trying to be at their 100%, they're trying to perform at much higher levels of performance, and some things are holding back. Sometimes it could be their mindset, sometimes it could be some of the behaviors, sometimes it could be some events from the past which are pulling them back. And the challenge they have is trying to find out what's really holding them back. Well, there could be quite a few different things. Some of them don't even know how they can inch back or even change some of the scripts they could be experiencing in their minds. So a lot of it is about the inner game, it's about the inner path to performance. So what I do with my work is I help people go back there, I help people go to events, and sometimes I have to use a bit of therapy, sometimes I have to use some of my coaching skills. Now this program is session 1 of Direct Your Destiny. 25 years ago, I picked up Tony Robbins' Personal Power 2. And it was one of those best things I did. First of all, when I left my job, I had nothing I was going to do. In fact, I had not found an alternative. But what I was really interested was listening to different kinds of recordings, watching different kinds of videos. And Personal Power 2 really did it for me. Every day I would listen to about 50 minutes to 1 hour's worth. It's almost like it came in 32 different CDs. And I would pick up one CD every day. What did it talk about? It talked about values, it talked about belief systems, it talked about limiting beliefs, it talked about attitudes, it talked about the best mindsets, it talked about things like NLP. I mean, it talked about every theme you can think about, it was all there. Now, initially, it just became a learning habit. It just became something I was almost developing as a hobby. And then I started to realize how that I was feeling a lot better, I was feeling a lot more peaceful. I was feeling like as though my direction was a lot clearer. I was feeling as though my vision was much stronger. And soon enough, I found my passion. I started to realize what I really wanted to do, and that was transforming people. So talk about that wonderful unfolding of my passion and my purpose started just after listening to those recordings. So I decided that, after 25 years, I wanted to do the same for other people. So along the way, I went for many different certifications, read many books, developed my own systems, and now I put it all together into what we call Direct Your Destiny. So this is the birth of Direct Your Destiny. So 25 years later, which is now, I've been training a lot of the things that are in the realm of emotional intelligence, neuro-linguistic programming, and a whole lot of other disciplines, including something called the Enneagram. And I combine all these things, and I've used this as my main source of high performance coaching. So today being the first session of Direct Your Destiny, I thought of speaking about a topic which quite a lot of us, especially in this country, could be Singapore, could be Asia, are struggling with. And this is about emotions. How many of us are emotionally stuck? So what do I mean by emotionally stuck? Well, I've condensed it into 5 different areas. And that is, the first one is, some people have got a limited range of emotions. Well, some of us maybe experience anger, frustration, disappointment, and it could be one other, it could be maybe happiness. But actually there are hundreds of emotions. And if we have held back, especially in a country like in Singapore and Asia, where we've held back from expressing, when we held back from experiencing, what happens is we don't allow ourselves, we don't give ourselves that permission to let it out of our system, in short. And when we let it out of our system, we feel ourselves, we can just totally be ourselves. Now, we can blame all kinds of different sources. It can be your parents, it can be your schools, but let's not even go there, because why? The past is the past, we can undo the past, so let's talk about the future. So again, I'm just going to condense it into 5, and then we'll talk about what we can do. But the second one is, some of us are emotionally unpredictable. So what does emotional unpredictability look like? Well, when people are emotionally unpredictable, you never know when they're going to lose it. Like today, they're totally okay, they can be fairly calm and relaxed, and then the next day they can be extremely angry, and you're wondering, what, did they go through something? And then again, the following day, they could be totally okay, almost forgetting what happened the previous day, and you find them to be volatile, right? Emotionally volatile. When people are emotionally volatile, you almost feel like the weather is going to change, the climate is going to switch like that. And that's what pushes a lot of people away. Another reason is what we call emotional poker face, right? Don't try to find this from another book, right? They could feel, it's almost like going to a movie. And some people go to movies and they feel something is funny and they watch the audience laughing, but they hold back from their laughter. They don't want to be heard. They don't want to show as though they're really joyful. Or sometimes have you heard of this phrase? No, don't bring out your emotions, or get emotions out of the way. I think in business, we frequently hear this: get emotions out of the way. Now, what does it look like when you truly get emotions out of the way? You become plain, you become bland, you become mechanical, you become so cognitive that, and there's no feel, there's no life, there is no empathy, there is no humanness. So I'm meeting a whole lot of people who are very heady. And when the head is rich and the heart is quite empty, you will know what it looks like. It looks totally transactional. Now you might be thinking the next one is quite insignificant, but some people have got this inability to smile, this inability to laugh. Now you can go and do tons of research. What happens when people are not able to smile, when people are not able to laugh? What happens then is the brain, or at least they don't allow the brain to produce some of those happy chemicals called the endorphins, the endocrines, and a whole lot of other things, serotonin, dopamine. So the body does produce a lot of chemicals. When you smile, what happens is the brain starts to produce some of these chemicals. So don't try to get any drugs to get a lot happier, because actually the drugs live within you. You can produce it yourself. But some of us stop ourselves from doing that. The fifth one is holding back this ability to cry. Now, why is this so important? We all experience sadness, we all experience difficult times, and when we hold back some of these difficult emotions, we don't allow ourselves to be vulnerable. We don't allow other people to see that, there are weak spots within us. Sometimes not everything is going to go our way. So we put up this very strong front. And then other people sometimes try to role model us, or they look at us as though we are unbreakable. And it's going to be very difficult to paste this kind of attitude. So sometimes we need to show our humanness. But I'd like you to think about what we can do. And the first thing we could do, which is related to the last thing I just said, is allow yourself to be vulnerable. So what does allowing yourself to be vulnerable look like? Well, are you able to say things like, I was wrong, I'm sorry, you are absolutely right, I loved what you said. And when we are able to say such things like this, we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we allow ourselves to take second best, we allow ourselves to fall a bit, we allow ourselves, or we allow other people to look good. And to me, it's about courage, right? Vulnerability is courage. Vulnerability is allowing yourself to seem weaker than you actually are. Be emotionally predictable. Now you might be thinking, hey, whatever I'm saying is quite the opposite of what I said just now. In fact, it is true. So when I say be emotionally unpredictable, I've got tons of stories when I've known people to be totally nice one day, and the next time when I pick up a call with them, they're totally different. And I'm wondering, did something happen, or is this them? It just changes like the tides. Now you can do something about this, and of course I will address this in other videos. The other one you could do to bring up the emotional level is to be honest yet kind. Now as leaders, as high performers, we always want to look as though we've got the best answers, we are much more successful than the rest, or we're doing really well. But I think sometimes we can afford to be honest with ourselves in terms of what we're feeling, and allow yourself to be honest with others. So if it is bad news you have to give, be able to express it, but be kind when you do it. Because when you're kind when you're doing it, then I think it allows other people to really want to speak with you, allows people to have a conversation with you. How many of us appreciate appreciation? And that is when somebody says, I love what you did, I love what you said, you handle that so professionally. Right? Allow yourself to be weak when you have to, because not every day is going to be Sunday. Sometimes you've heard of that phrase, not every day is going to be like Sunday. The last one I'd like to talk about is the ability to express your joy and your appreciation. Because it's such a beautiful scene when you notice someone else experiencing your love, your appreciation, and allowing them to feel good and feel confident as a result of your doing. But make sure it's intentional. So again, just to summarize, be vulnerable, be honest yet kind, be emotionally predictable, and allow yourself to express your joy and appreciation. So what did I try to impart today? Well, the lesson is take emotions seriously. A lot of people whom I know, like especially leaders, they can't connect with their colleagues, they can't connect with their peers. If I look at certain husbands or certain wives, they can't connect with each other. So what happens in the end? Relationships become very transactional, they become very mechanical, and what happens is we get blandness. We don't get the kind of passion. And that's where passion is missing with most people nowadays, right? Because they're not able to express emotions, or at least they've been holding back from expressing their emotions. And in the end, they just get used to it. So when you get used to it, your body, your mind gets used to it, it's very hard to then make a start. So if I were you, think about emotions as emo in motion, right? So if emotions are in motion, why not we just let it out and learn to express? And then your body and mind gets used to it. And you start to see a new normal in terms of expression, in terms of excitement, in terms of just truly being able to be yourself on a daily basis.